Hi Trophies, it's Trophy Steffi. This is a weight loss diet video that I'm making specifically for those who are interested in knowing exactly what I'm eating in order to lose some weight. I have already lost 50 pounds in my weight loss journey with jumping and also with eating a starch-based diet, and I have shifted my weight up about 13 pounds over the last year, and I'm just going to get back to the fundamentals of what I did in order to lose the first 50 pounds. And I'm going to walk you guys through it. So this video is going to be discussing all the things that I'm implementing. It's going to talk about the strategies that I am using for weight loss. And I'm going to give you those tips and tricks that some of you are looking for in order to actually get the needle to move. When it comes to our lifestyles and what contributes most to our weight loss, it's going to be our menu or our intake. There are some of you that are eating clean and have a very good relationship with food. And if the only thing that you change in your life is you incorporate exercise, the exercise alone could be what shifts the needle and gets the weight to come off. But if you are exercising and you're eating a certain way and you're struggling to get the scale to go down, we're going to need to implement some strategies in your menu in order to help with fat loss, in order to help actually see the scale go down and to also be feeling very comfortable and at ease throughout the experience. So I'm going to begin with describing the diet that I'm on. It's called a starch-based diet. I learned it from the Starch Solution program by Dr. John McDougall. It's a starch-focused menu where roughly 70% of the calories that I'm consuming come from starches such as potatoes, rice, oats, grains, whole grains, and pasta and wheat included, and corn. And if 70% of the menu consists of these starch foods, whether they be whole or refined, ideally whole for the fiber content to be present, then 70% of our calories are very low in fat. And this is the secret to fast digestion, to optimal energy, and ultimately long-term to weight loss, because carbohydrates, proteins, and fats are not created equal. Carbohydrates and fats are the only two sources of those three that are considered fuel. Protein is considered a building block, and fat is double the calories as carbohydrates. So if 70% of our calories are coming from carbohydrates, already that knocks the calories down in a starch-based diet. And then the other 30% would consist of the proteins and fats, and vegetables and fruits would land in, I'd say, the proteins and the carbohydrates category because they're not high in fat as well. And we do want to emphasize an abundance of fruits and vegetables, which I will get into. So I follow a starch-based diet. I actually do not follow a vegan diet, and I'm not here to recommend a vegan diet. You can easily do this menu vegan, but that's not necessarily the strategy for longevity. It's more of an ethical stance, and I agree with the ethics of veganism, and I respect the culture that chooses to not harm animals in the endeavor of feeding themselves and living their lives, meaning not buying leather. I respect them, but I'm choosing not to eat a vegan diet as I am actually including minimal amounts, and it feels right and it feels good to me. So this is a starch-based diet. This is the diet that Sally and I discovered back in 2016, and it helped us to shed 50 pounds. There are definitely many approaches to this starch-based diet. Like I said, there's vegan approach, there's also a non-vegan approach, and there's a very low fat approach, there's a low protein approach, there's a moderate protein, or even a high protein approach. But you can't do high carbohydrate and high protein simultaneously, ultimately, because we're gonna have to divide it into percentages at the end of the day. So what really got Sally and I to lose the weight was to create a plate that consisted of even more towards 80% of our calories coming from carbohydrates that included starches, fruits, and vegetables. And then about 10 to 20% of those calories came from fats and proteins. So we had the fat quite low. I feel like if you've come from a diet where it's very high in fat and it's high in grease and high in processed foods, and you're gonna need to step into a balancing act and a menu that's actually going to balance out or counter all the years and years and years of eating processed foods and very greasy and high fat foods, we may need to eat a lower fat menu temporarily in order to help get the weight off. If you're just trying to lose 10 total pounds, you may not need to go as low in your fats. And really, this is ultimately going to result in a calorie deficit, which is the bottom line when it comes to weight loss. Hormones and age and exercise contribute to weight loss, and they contribute to your ability to lose weight. The rate of the metabolism, quality of sleep, hydration, these all contribute. But we're here to just talk about and focus on intake when it comes to food and diet, and really what starts to get the needle to move in the correct direction, getting the weight to go down so we can look leaner, we can feel leaner, we can see the results, and this is going to expedite the progression and our motivation simultaneously. So let's dial it in. Let's talk about starches. My favorite starches, and the starches that I believe are going to move the needle the fastest, are going to be potatoes, sweet potatoes and white potatoes. I also believe that brown rice is a top contender and oatmeal is a top contender. I also believe that corn can be a top contender, like whole corn, not necessarily corn flour, but whole corn, and quinoa and barley and other grains such as that. And refined carbohydrates are also not necessarily going to cause weight gain, but they are not necessarily in the maximum weight loss category. When it comes to all the ways that we can indulge and we can cheat and we can sabotage ourselves, refined grains is at the bottom of the list of all the ways we can sabotage ourselves. So really, from maximum weight loss, you're just taking it up one notch. So we should never, ever, ever feel guilty for having white rice, bread, whole grain cereals, corn flour, corn tortillas, even wheat tortillas. These foods are considered weight loss foods. We just really need to connect with satiation and hunger at the end of the day. And satiation and hunger are dialed in more so when we're eating these water-rich potatoes and brown rice and whole corn and oatmeal and things like that. So that covers the starches. And then we have fruits, and all fruits are basically created equal. Yes, some fruits are more calorie dense than other fruits, but all fruits are created equal. I'm going to talk more about fruits. And then vegetables, I say all vegetables are created equal. Calorie density is a major topic when it comes to how to strategically lose weight, because if we can understand calorie density and we can see all the food for how calorically dense it is, then we can really start to build a plate that is going to give us maximum results, because we can strategize with low calorie density fruits, vegetables, and starches and proteins. And again, when it comes to the list of things that we can do to sabotage ourselves, higher calorie density fruits and vegetables are not going to sabotage us. They are just one click up. Just like refined starches. They are just a little bit outside of the maximum weight loss category. So we really want to focus on the maximum weight loss category and allow these refined starches and these higher calorie density fruits and vegetables, because at the end of the day, what matters most is consistency and convenience, and being satiated and not binging at the end of the night and not binging at the end of the week. So if we incorporate a daily banana, which would be considered a higher calorie density fruit, or if we incorporate a daily piece of toast, I can guarantee you that this is going to lead to weight loss, as opposed to one binge. You wish you had bread, but one binge that pretty much counters the 1 to 2 pounds you could be losing each week. And when we weigh ourselves, if we choose to weigh ourselves, we should be weighing ourselves either every day or once a week, and we should be taking averages. And I feel like an average weight loss each month is a very realistic perspective when it comes to the weight loss that happens over 6 months, over 8 months, over 12 months. It's going to be about how much weight you lost each month. Never has anyone ever said, I lost 1 pound every single day, or 3 pounds this week and 4 pounds this week and 3 pounds this week, because we will gain some weight, we will maintain some weight, our weight will fluctuate. And really, it's going to be about how much we generally will lose in the month. We can have a goal to lose 3 to 5 pounds in the month, something along those lines. And we should really just be looking at those statistics instead of looking at the day-to-day and really worrying if the weight goes up and down. So starches, fruits, and vegetables. And now let's talk about protein. So we've got a couple protein categories, but I'm just going to say there's meat protein and then there's plant protein. Plant protein, I think, consists of tofu, seitan, tempeh, and beans. And then meat protein would consist of chicken, fish, beef, because in a fat loss phase, we want the fats to be on the lower side. And if we're going to go lots of beef, or if we're going to go pork and liver and all these other high fat meats, we're not going to be targeting that lower calorie density option and end result, which will really start to bring those pounds down. Okay, I've got some great news for you. When it comes to building a plate, we get to be full. And let me dive deeper into this. I think that the biggest problem that Americans have is that we're hungry. Believe it or not, that's what I am believing based on even just the last week of implementing this menu. I believe that Americans, Australians, Europeans, as a society, we are struggling because we are hungry and we are not eating enough volume, and we are ultimately binging, and we are maybe purging or under eating at times. We are not hungry at the appropriate times. We are not eating enough food. And that's why calorie density plays a really strong role in the eat more to lose more strategy. When it comes to building a plate, we are going to have so much fun losing weight because we're going to finally be eating to our hearts and bellies content. We get to actually have that eating experience. This might be what prevents people from losing weight. It's that they feel like they have to eat till 80% full, and they feel like they have to create a portion that's the perfect portion that keeps them in a calorie range that is considered a calorie deficit. But what I've discovered and what I am recommending is that we start to fill our plates full. What I currently do is I have a snack in the morning, and then I have 3 main meals. I may have a snack between lunch and dinner, but my goal and my recommendation for you, and I'm going to get more into how to build this plate, you could have your snack and then your first meal, and really how you lay out your meals is up to you, just exactly what strategy works for you around your work schedule, your workout schedule, around all the things, your family, your kids, all those things considered, you will design your perfect intake. I want you to put so much beautiful food on your plate that you know at the end of your meal, you know that you are satisfied / full. And I just want to clear up a gray area. Absolutely, positively stuffed. That is not comfortable, and nobody is going to tell me otherwise. You're not going to say I'm full and then keep eating, which is so funny because we hear that a lot at the table, don't we? We hear ourselves say it, or we hear others say it. I'm full. And then we keep eating. But I'm going to talk more about what needs to be on that plate in order to get to that satisfied, full feeling. And we want to eat to make so sure that we are fed and full. Sometimes just reiterating the foods on the plate, like when you're getting close to the end and you think, oh, if I added more of this, I added more of that, does that sound good? Does that sound good? You'll get to a point, lots of strategies when it comes to detecting satiation, you'll get to a point where you know you are satisfied. We want you to eat in that way. Meal 1, you're eating like a king. You're eating like a queen. This is the biggest strategy. This is what truly makes for weight loss. And we want you to do this at meal 2 or lunch as well. You will be so well fed, breakfast and lunch, that by dinner time, you're either going to be hungry as ever, depending on the exercise you're doing in the day, or you're going to be partially satisfied. And you're not going to need as big of a meal for dinner. This is literally the secret that everyone is missing. We want to lose so bad, yet we find ourselves as a hungry society. We are hungry at the end of the day. We are hungry at the end of the week. We are hungry when we're drunk. We are so hungry. And it's because we're not putting in our stomachs the most biggest, beautiful portion for breakfast and lunch, and maybe a snack or 2. But I'm going to talk more about that next. So we're going to make it so simple to build a plate. We are going to have 4 categories. We're going to have starch, we're going to have protein, we're going to have fruits, and we're going to have vegetables. We're going to build the personal best plate. And this is going to be what guarantees your success, because a personal best plate is not copying anyone else's plate. It's creating and designing your perfect plate that's going to change and evolve over time. So the personal best plate is going to consist of the starch, the protein, the fruits, and the vegetables that work best for you, that connect you to your favorite flavors and textures. They're going to connect you to what is sustainable in your environment, in your local grocery stores, what feels like it costs the right price, what feels like it works with your family. It connects you to your happiness, your joy, your childhood. It's going to nail your success in all 4 categories. So when it comes to starches, you are going to ultimately have to decide what is your favorite starch and what can you buy in large quantities and what can you prep in large quantities and what are you never going to get sick of? What are you ultimately going to be able to eat and eat and eat. If you're someone that says, I need tons of variety, then you need to honor that. It's almost like you're gonna sleep in the bed that you made if you cannot stand eating very simply and sticking to very similar starches, like your top 2 starches. If you can't stand that and you need variety, you will need to create a variety of options in your fridge at all times. This is gonna be your secret to success. And I'm gonna talk about meal prepping soon. When it comes to it, we will need to meal prep so much because guess what? You are gonna be eating more to lose. We need to pick the starches that connect with our environment, our taste buds, our childhood, our favorite flavors and textures. Sweet potatoes are awesome. If you can find yourself a source of Japanese sweet potatoes, those tend to be as sweet and as rich and as dense as it gets. They're not necessarily better for weight loss than any other food. They just happen to be ultra sweet, high fiber, whole foods, Japanese sweet potatoes. There's also orange sweet potatoes. There's white flesh sweet potatoes. There are a lot of variety of white potatoes, all created equal. Potatoes, 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 all potatoes, I say are the #1 starch for weight loss because they are the highest on the satiety index. So they will trigger satiation in your body. They will get you to the end of the day, where at the end of the day you say, I am literally satisfied. I'm gonna have a smaller dinner because I cannot eat more than a small dinner. My stomach is full. It's gonna be 5, 6 o'clock at night. You're gonna be so fed from earlier in the day. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, this is what I was doing wrong. I was always hungry by now. And now you're gonna finally be fed. So first we pick the starches that can absolutely be the most sustainable. Maybe it's oatmeal, maybe it's rice, brown or white rice, maybe it's potatoes, any variety. Maybe it's quinoa, maybe it's barley, maybe it's corn, tortillas, and beans, because that's a great combo. Maybe, just maybe, there's gonna be some of you that land on bread, and let bread be your #1 starch, because I can guarantee you, coming from a highly processed, super high fat diet and switching to a very high bread diet will guarantee you weight loss. Where he had a group of young males incorporate 12 slices of bread, didn't matter if it was white or brown, did not matter. They incorporated 12 slices of bread into their menu, and over a 3-month period, I think, they all lost weight. They all lost significant weight because they replaced all the grease and all the processed foods, and they had to eat those 12 slices of bread amongst anything else that they wanted. They basically reduced overall calories and started shedding weight. So bread can be an option, and it's actually a great option. It could be the perfect transition option. If you're like, I'm done eating processed food, I'm done eating high fat, I'm done eating keto, I need to start slowly, I'm not ready for whole grains, I'm not ready for all this whole food, my stomach doesn't tolerate it, I can't process all this fiber, I am gassy. Bread could be your answer, and you will see weight loss. And if not weight loss, fat loss. We might not necessarily be wanting to stare at the scale every single day because our bodies are transforming from the inside, I promise. So we're gonna determine our starches. Everybody will choose a different starch. Some of us will choose the same starches, but that's gonna be a huge component to your success, is deciding what starches you not only wanna eat consistently, regularly, most days if not daily, even twice a day. But you also want to make sure that it is sustainable for you, and it's not something that all of a sudden you go, none's prepped, I give up. It's almost like you have to prep 10 overnight oats in your fridge, and you will have those overnight oats ready, and you're gonna become the prep master. Or you need to bake trays and trays of potatoes, or you need to have your rice cooker going every single day with a fresh pot of rice, fresh pot of rice, fresh pot of rice. Or you need to have microwave bags of corn in your freezer, like 20 of them, and you need to get 20 a week because you're eating 2 a day. Some people could focus on corn, and that's great. You have to make it foolproof, you have to make it lazy proof, you have to be ready to prepare, you have to choose the starches that work for your environment, you have access to them, and you love them, and you can eat them constantly and consistently, or the other way, which is you're gonna need a large variety prepped at all times. And then that's one component of the meal. The second component will be the protein. So when I got on this diet just a week ago, I chose tofu as my protein. And tofu happened to, in my opinion, check box protein and fat, which I was like, that is something that I didn't do in the past. Tofu/protein was not something that I did in the past when I lost the first 50 pounds. I just focused on starches and fruits and vegetables. And I think that I could have done better and fared better and had even faster results had I added in proteins and fats in a sustainable way. The ones that made me feel satisfied, that I appreciated and loved, textures and flavors, and I felt like I could eat consistently. Tofu is one option. It does happen to have fat attached to it. I feel like the fat box is checked, and I do eat some more fats too, but I do feel like the fat box is checked when I incorporate. Are you ready to hear how much tofu I could be eating in a day? About a block a day, maybe a block and a half, depending on if I have it 3 times in the day. So the other protein options could be seitan. The digestion has to say yes to it. There could be an adaptation phase. Please give yourself 2 weeks to a month to determine whether your body is adapting or your body is just saying no, because it could go either way. So don't just give up immediately if you get serious gas. You might have to give it a couple days or a couple weeks, okay? So when it comes to other sources of protein, plant proteins, seitan and tempeh, and then beans, these are all options, tofu. And then I like chicken, fish, and turkey and lean beef. So chicken and turkey are very lean. Fish would checkbox the fat, and beef could potentially checkbox the fat as well, depending on the beef. I think 90-10 could be a solid range, maybe 85-15 at the very fattiest, and then anything above 90% lean protein in the beef is great. And I say, if you're gonna choose, you're gonna have your starches and you're gonna choose your protein. If you choose chicken, if you're choosing a very low-fat protein, I would say we're going to incorporate a little bit of oil, because the point of this diet is not to completely eliminate fats. I think that is a huge mistake that people make, and I paid for that mistake. I feel like my hormones were compromised. I feel like that my body was compromised, experimenting with super, super low fat, having fat fears. That was not necessary. We don't need to avoid oil. We don't need to avoid fats at any point in our journey. We can limit fats. We can have low amounts of fats, but if we completely avoid fats, we are going to fail. We are going to end up eating fats at some point, and eventually we're going to wake up one day and we're going to say, it's time for fats to come in, and we're going to go into the opposite direction. Take it from me, it's happened to me several times. Every time I try to drastically cut fat, I end up needing so much more fat. Let's just bring it down. Let's not avoid it, and let's not keep it moderate high. Let's just bring it down to a low moderate range. So if you're gonna focus on chicken, you're gonna focus on turkey, you're gonna have your protein, your starches, a little bit of fat. I would say about a tablespoon of oil a day would be an amazing goal to have. If you're gonna have your daily meals, 3 meals, couple snacks, you might have a tablespoon of fat, maybe 2 tablespoons. I know that seems like a lot, but that's only gonna accumulate about 250 calories and about 30 to 35 grams of fat, just depending on the oil. And that's not a lot of fat when we're looking at the whole day, because you're not going to get much fat from your starches. You're not going to get any fat from your fruits and vegetables. So if you're adding in 2 whole tablespoons of oil in the day, you're not breaking the bank when it comes to added fats. You're having about 35 grams of fats. That is considered extremely low. We may need to even add more. We can completely abolish any fears around fats because we're including them strategically. If you are having very, very lean chicken and turkey, which I think are excellent choices for protein addition to the plate, add a little bit of oil. Now let's talk about fruits and vegetables. I'm not gonna talk a lot about fruits and vegetables, but I'm gonna say this. We are adding both components to every single meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're gonna have our starch, we're gonna have our protein, and we're gonna have fruit and vegetables. It might be very strategic to add more fruit in the first meal and then a fruit dessert feel for lunch and for dinner. But you can lay it out any way you want to. It's up to you. If you had no budget, no limits, you were ready to buy and prepare starches, proteins, fruits, and vegetables in maximum abundance, go for it with fruits and vegetables at your plate. And then we have the starches and proteins. And I want to give you a little tip. When it comes to the calorie density of fruits, vegetables, and proteins and starches, we are going to be using fruits and vegetables as a slight dilution to the starches and the proteins. So we're gonna find our balance. We're gonna find a couple fistfuls of starch. We're gonna find a fistful of protein, maybe a couple fistfuls of protein, depending. And then we're gonna find the same amount of fruit and the same amount of vegetables, and you're gonna feel it out. In fact, what I really want you to do, and which is what I love to do, when you have this beautiful component meal and you have a variety of the starch, the protein, fruits and vegetables, guess what? You're literally gonna have a buffet on your plate and you're gonna go, that sounds good, that sounds good, that sounds good, that sounds good. And you're gonna also go, that doesn't sound that good. That doesn't sound that good. Now, you don't necessarily have to not eat what doesn't sound good, but just notice that you are literally learning what your palate is asking for by having such a beautiful variety of food on your plate. Your tongue might be saying, this tastes so good, I actually want more of this. I only put this much mango on my plate. I only put this much zucchini on my plate. And I know that there's more in the fridge, and I think I want more than this because it's tasting so delicious. Or you're eating the tofu and you're going, no, I don't want the tofu, or I don't want the chicken. Actually, the sweet potato is tasting better to me, or the white potato is tasting so much better to me. You're gonna get to know yourself on a new level. You're gonna get to know your digestion, your body's needs, your body's desires on a new level by having this buffet that's gonna get you fed, full, and completely over intense cravings and nighttime and weekend binging, okay? Cravings are like the Achilles heel to everyone's weight loss goal. It's those intense cravings, the cravings that just draw us to the snacks and the chocolate and the chips and the desserts and the ice creams. It's cravings, it's hunger. It's actual hunger because we have not learned how to feed ourselves until now. So we're gonna build a plate. It's gonna be starches in abundance. And I'm not gonna give you exact portions of how to build each thing. You're gonna ultimately have to decide, eyeball, how much of this do you really want to eat? And I promise you, after a week, you're gonna really understand how much you normally need or normally want and how much you're gonna want in that moment. We're gonna talk next about food prep. Really, when it comes down to it, you will be eating more. It's gonna be more low calorie density food, but you're gonna be literally putting more food into your stomach. You're gonna have more coming out of your body. You're gonna have more coming in. You're gonna be eating in abundance. You're gonna be eating more than your partner. You're gonna be eating more than your kids, which you already are. But you're gonna be eating more. And I'm gonna stop for a second and tell you that some of you are already eating so much. Don't take this out of context that you need to put even more in, okay? We just want to find ourselves eating big meals that make us so satisfied that there is no doubt that we are fed, and by the end of the day, your hunger will have tapered off. And we hopefully can get dinner in on the earlier side, 7, 6 o'clock. We can get dinner and we can get to bed by 9. And we are literally going, wow, I'm so satisfied, I'm fed. We don't want to be stuffed. We don't want to be pregnant and full and feeling gross at night. You want to honor satiation. And this is definitely a weight loss strategy. You want to honor satiation to where you're satisfied. Yes, satisfied. But you're not over satisfied. You're not full. I put in too many bites. It's like we need to be so honest with ourselves. I just want to say, I believe in all of us. I believe in you that once you really start to connect with your satiation, you will start to know your gray area and you will start to know how satisfied you need to be to succeed, to have energy after meals. Your digestion is going to be great because your fat's going to be lower and you're going to get to know yourself on such a new level, and you're going to be eating more and you're going to be so happy because the scale will start to come down when you're not eating a lot at night, late night, and you're not having binging on the weekends, and you're noticing that you're not having those high calorie moments throughout the week, throughout the month. That could be the only thing that's preventing you from weight loss. It's like when we just pluck those instances out, that could be what moves the needle. And if you're feeling fed and full, that is the best way to guarantee that you won't have those cravings. It's like you're gonna eliminate those cravings. You're gonna eliminate those binges. You're gonna be so fed. If you do need a snack between meals, if you do need to eat between meals, you might go, possible I could have put more in earlier in the day. Maybe I didn't eat to satisfaction breakfast and lunchtime. Maybe my metabolism is running hot because I am jumping instead and I'm doing my 3 classes a day and I do need more, which means we'll need to increase our portion sizes at the meal times. But if you have a tendency or a need to eat between meals, you need to ask yourself what really truly sounds the best. Is it one of these components? Does protein sound the best? Does starch sound the best? Does something water rich and sweet like fruit sound the best? Or maybe cucumber sounds good. Just asking yourself, what of these 4 components sound the best right now? And you might even have like a treat designated for yourself. Like, we can get creative. For instance, a Ninja Creamy that consists of protein powder and plant milk. This could be something that we make and we have. It's like a low-calorie dessert. I think that when we hack desserts and we have dessert options in the house that are very, very low calorie or lower calorie than the higher calorie versions, we can learn to incorporate these during a weight loss phase. Hopefully not as much during the weight loss phase, but we're gonna have them in weight maintenance. Ultimately, the goal is weight maintenance, right? It's to get the weight off and to maintain. And when you're in weight maintenance, you're gonna have these desserts, you're gonna have these little treats you're gonna be able to, or you're gonna be so satisfied at every meal, you're gonna be a whole new person. You're gonna be the leanest, healthiest, most energetic version of yourself. And you're gonna notice that the last time you binged, the last time you had a serious craving was years ago or decades ago. It could happen where you finally get through those old habits, those old eating behaviors that weren't serving you, and now you're a new person and you're fed every time you eat, and you're eating more than everyone else because you know how to build that amazing plate that's got that starch, that's got that protein, that's got fruits and vegetables. And it is just, the more you can put on your plate, the better. Eat to satisfaction so you know you're satisfied, and watch what happens. And if you are noticing that the scale is going up and up and up, you need to look at the calorie density. You might need to bump up vegetables. You might need to bump up fruits and reduce the starches a little bit. And I'm just talking about how we can make small tweaks if we notice that we're satisfied, we're happy, we're finally feasting, but we are eating too many calories still, and that's just because you might need to bump up the vegetables. And food prep is going to play a huge role. We need to constantly have the fruits and the vegetables that we love, that are sustainable for us, that we can afford, that are the easiest. And then our proteins fully prepped as much as we can, lots of food prepped, especially if you have a family and you're feeding a family, and starches. Food prep is going to play a major role in your success, making sure that you are ready for the lazy moments. That is going to help you so much with success. So just some side notes here. This menu, ultimately, it could cost more than what you are paying for. Be ready for that. Be ready to spend a little bit more and maybe eat out a little bit less if you're in a weight loss phase. Eating out's fine. Go do your thing. If you need to eat out, if you need to have a family gathering, do your best to create a component bowl with your family, and you can build a beautiful, you're eating more than that. If they are going to go, you should be eating this, it's like, but you have a pile of food on your plate, I don't think they're going to be worrying as much about you. They're not going to think that you're restricting, okay? So you are going to face potentially an increased cost in food if you are having lots of fruits and vegetables. You may need an air fryer. If you're choosing potatoes, an air fryer comes in very, very handy. You're going to definitely need an oven. You might need to purchase big Tupperwares. You're going to need to have your go-to desserts. Another dessert option that I absolutely love is to take a sweet potato, take the perfect fistful of sweet potato, to mash it, and then to put some chocolate chips and a sprinkle of salt and air fry it for 8 minutes. This is like a chocolate chip cookie, and it's a wonderful dessert that's filling, it's high fiber. Chewing is going to help you to connect to your true hunger and satiation cues. You can lay out your meals and your snacks however you want them. You may have a trial and error week. Week 1 is trial and error. Be so nice to yourself in the transition phase. Be so nice to yourself if you get gas. Be so nice to yourself if the weight goes up. Be so nice to yourself, because the grass is greener when you are dialed in and you have these big, beautiful meals. You're full, you're fed, you're energized every single day, you're jumping every single day. You have these meals that you're prepping for work and you are preparing at home and you're crushing it. You're going to be so, so, so happy. So just get through a transition. Be kind to yourself if there is a transition. And like I said before, do your best to prepare for that lazy moment that's guaranteed to come. So just prep so much that you're erring on the side of there might be some food waste. Like basically when you come across a food that needs to be replaced, prep it again. Have a constant list going on of foods you need to buy, and just make sure that you are prepping like crazy, more than you ever have before in your life, because you're eating more and you're gonna finally lose weight and be more satiated. Understand your salt and sugar needs. You can have all the condiments that you need, but understand your salt and sugar needs, and know that salt and sugar is a wonderful tool for being very, very, very satisfied, but you're not gonna be pouring maple syrup all over everything, and you're not gonna be dumping soy sauce all over everything. You don't want to just all of a sudden increase salts and sugars. If anything, from a highly processed diet or a high fat diet from before, you're gonna be reducing salts and sugars. Keep that in mind. When it comes down to it, hydration increases when we don't dehydrate with these salt and sugar components. So have salt and sugar to taste and enjoy it, and have some barbecue sauce, and have some teriyaki sauce, and have some soy sauce, and have some sugar. I had a little bit of honey on my tofu. Dress your food if you need to, however you want to, and enjoy it. But just be mindful of salt and sugar. Know that more hunger does not mean you're going to gain weight when you eat more. And less hunger means you likely ate enough and you're not needing that much food in the moment. So this is also going to happen where some days or some weeks you're going to be eating and you're going to be like, wow, I'm so fat, I'm so fat, I'm so fat. And then all of a sudden you're going to be like, wait a minute, today I'm so much hungrier. I just ate this huge meal and I'm hungry again. If you're hungry, let your hunger signals guide you. Feed yourself, get the food in, especially if you're hungry earlier in the day, and then notice that you did it. You got your fed fix, and now it's closer to dinner time and you're like, I'm not that hungry. I can have a smaller dinner. This would be ideal. Let food needs happen without judgment, without negativity, and feed yourself and just ask yourself, what sounds the best? Do I need a whole main meal again, or do I just need one of the components? Some more starch, some more fruits, vegetables, or protein. Observe your blood sugar levels. Stable energy is key. So if you feel like your blood sugar levels are off, you may need to adjust fat intake. You may need to add a little bit more fat. If you're coming from a high fat diet and you are switching to a lower fat diet, you may need to just incorporate a little bit more fats at first and taper off the fats. Really, do it. Be patient. I love giving yourself a month to adapt, giving yourself a couple weeks or a week to adapt. I love transition phase. Embrace transition phase. It's almost like you don't have to go strict tomorrow. You get to transition. And when you just take the burden of a cold turkey, tomorrow the diet starts, if you take that burden off of yourself and just start to incorporate, start to prepare the list, start to prepare the big portions of food, start to grocery shop, start to get ready for this, start to make those big portions of cucumber kimchi salad or chopped fruit or protein, baked chicken or baked potatoes. Start to get to know the new habits that you're going to be implementing. Start to practice them, start to get familiar and get comfortable, and use week 1 as a transition phase, because you're going to be so successful week 2 and you're going to be successful that first week as well. Hydration is a huge factor. You want to be peeing on the clear side, and that's all I will say. If you were looking at dark yellow pea, you need to drink a bit more, or you need a little less salt. Sugar, I don't think is as dehydrating unless we're pounding sugar and maple syrup, yes. But salt is obviously sodium, and we're gonna retain some more extra water if we have way too much sodium. So we can dial it back on the sodium, especially if we want to help ourselves with hydration. We are already gonna be eating hydrating foods in our fruits and vegetables added to every single meal. We're gonna be adding more hydration. This is key. When the food consists of hydration, this is going to help overall hydration levels significantly. And then we definitely need to drink more water, okay? So I've got some more tips. If we could do 1 3-minute meditation in the morning and 1 3-minute meditation in the evening, like even if it's like one song, like if you were to go to Apple Music or Spotify or, any music resource and you were to pick a 3-minute song, that's just like a meditation song or a spa song. In the morning, I want you to take 3 minutes of your time, listen to a song, and literally flood your body with joy and with happy thoughts and with successful feelings. Being successful. The feeling of, I am succeeding today and I will succeed today. Game changer. 3 minutes in the morning, and then in the evening, 3 minutes to be kind to yourself. love yourself, and say, I did my best. I crushed it today. Almost like both in the morning and the evening, if we were to be talking to our best friend or our child self, and we were to be so supportive and so loving, even if they blew it and they failed, you learned a big lesson today. You are literally going to be transformed faster now that you made that mistake. And then I'll quickly discuss supplements. If you are going to consider taking supplements, be consistent with your supplement intake. Lay out your supplements so they are ready to be consumed at each meal or whenever you're having them and you're consuming them. Supplements that I take are vitamin D, vitamin B12, omega-3s, ashwagandha, magnesium. So what we are accomplishing with this weight loss approach is going to be sustained calorie adequacy. We are going to be fed once and for all. We're going to be eating adequate calories, not too much, not in a deficit that we are going to be feeling or registering in our brains. We're going to be feeling like we are eating in adequacy. Our hormones are going to be feeling that. Our brain is going to be feeling that. Our digestion is going to be feeling that. Our energy levels are going to be feeling that. Our blood markers are going to be feeling that. Our organs are going to be feeling that. Calorie adequacy is so vital and crucial and important for muscle growth, for fat loss, for longevity, for health. Calorie adequacy. When we are eating in this way and we're eating in abundance, we're eating enough. We are not, and now I'm referring to the people I spoke about in the beginning of the video, we are not hungry. We are eating. We are finally feeling fed and being fed every day. When you move and when you are training, you want to train in a way that costs less than what you can recover from. So if you notice that you are training and you are constantly sore, you need to back off. Also know that training more and increasing intensity is not going to promote weight loss. It's going to create hunger and cause you to eat more than what you actually need. We're very excited for these membership classes that you're going to be joining, and these are going to be the classes that give you the exact results that you're after, honoring the 4 pillars of longevity: weight training, cardio, both high and low intensity, flexibility/mobility, and balance. And we're going to tackle all 4 of those in the most loving and efficient way. I'm going to wrap it up now. We are going to want to also make sure that we focus on consistent sleep and we practice habits around our sleeping schedule that aligns us with good quality sleep, like putting the phone down an hour before bed or 2 hours before bed, dimming the lights, making sure we're not drinking a bunch of water and eating a bunch of food right before bed. And we are maybe doing calming activities like reading or knitting or studying, a little bit of gentle studying, maybe listening to something gentle, music, doing our 3-minute meditation in the evening, maybe some restorative yoga, doing anything we can to help us with good quality sleep. This is so key. This is so important. We want to have consistent, good quality sleep. And stress regulation. So focusing on morning sunlight, creating screen boundaries in the day. If you are a doom scroller and you know you need a screen boundary, do what you can to set up a schedule during the day that aligns you with screen allowance and then screen boundaries. It really makes a difference. When you're in your screen allowance window, you feel awesome and you feel good and you could even scroll if you wanted. But if you're in a screen boundary, this is you time and you deserve that you time. So have screen allowance, feel good, feel like this is what you get to do, and then have screen boundaries. And that will also make you feel motivated and disciplined and will give you better stress regulation over the day. The very last thing I'll say is cultivating joy, going inside your body and making a decision to cultivate a desired feeling such as joy, figuring out what you are grateful for, connecting to that gratitude, connecting to the feeling of joy, and doing this as often as you can. When you're anxious, when you're lonely, when you're stressed, when you're happy, when you're excited, when you're by yourself, when you're with family, when you're eating, any time of day, if you just take a moment to go inside and cultivate some gratitude and the feeling of gratitude, this is going to help you stay positive. This is going to help you attract positive things and things that you're grateful for already. If you're already grateful for, it's going to attract these things into your life even more so, and it's going to help you with your weight loss. I want you to be kind to yourself on your journey. Cultivate joy and gratitude towards your process, towards learning, towards your growth, towards obstacles, towards wins, and I'm so excited for your journey. I'm so excited for you to be fed and to fill up your plate and to be in more awareness of your hydration levels, your balance in your meals, of calorie density, of fitness, being happy and being healthy and living as long as you can. Thank you again so much for being here, and I cannot wait to see you in class soon. Have a fantastic rest of your day.